Now that you are registered to vote, the next step is making sure you know where your polling place is. You will again want to go to the My Vote Wisconsin homepage and click the link that reads, "Where do I vote?" You will be asked to type in your address, apartment number, if you have one, city, and zip code. The website will then tell you where you go to vote with a handy map and option to get directions from your home or current location to the polling place. I recommend keeping those pages accessible for Election Day. Requesting an absentee ballot. As we all know, we are still in a pandemic. You may not feel comfortable going into a potentially crowded polling place. Luckily, Wisconsin allows all eligible voters to vote with an absentee ballot, and the My Vote Wisconsin website has thorough instructions on how to request one. Using the My Vote homepage as the previous task, click on the link that reads Vote by Absentee Mail. From here, you will be prompted to enter your first name, last name, and date of birth to ensure that you are a registered voter. Go on to follow the prompts if you do intend to request an absentee ballot. Now, let's talk a little bit more about voting absentee. Once you receive your absentee ballot, you will need to follow a few steps to ensure that your ballot is counted. Unless you are a military voter, permanently overseas, or are indefinitely confined, you must provide the Milwaukee Election Commission with a copy of your photo ID to keep on file. You can send a copy of your ID along with your absentee ballot request, whether you request by mail or email. You can contact the Milwaukee Election Commission by email at absenteeballots@milwaukee.gov or by phone at 414-286-3491. Applications for absentee ballots must be received no later than 5 p.m. on the Thursday before the election. Before we move forward, I'd like to share with you a personal story. In April of 2020, there was a presidential primary along with the spring elections. We were also at the height of the COVID pandemic. We were told we must stay home, yet in order to vote, we have to go to the neighborhood polling stations. So many elected officials attempted to help us vote easier by giving us access to absentee ballots and ballot boxes in our communities, such as at local libraries, where we can drop them off and extend the number of days we can vote. Lawsuits were filed to prevent these extensions, and voting days were shortened. There were also issues with the post office where ballots were never mailed or received. I even had an issue where I requested an absentee ballot and I didn't receive it in time, so I had to go and stand in line. I also went to help pass out bottled water and ponchos because it was raining while there were long lines of voters. It was like a scene from the civil rights movement. Yet here we are in 2022, and we are still facing even more voter suppression efforts today. So just this week, a judge in Wisconsin ruled that absentee ballot drop boxes cannot be used in the state of Wisconsin. And in Georgia, for example, they made it illegal to pass out water and snacks if you're in line at the polling places. There have been over 40 measures that make it more challenging to vote. And I'd like for you to ask yourselves, why might powers at play be so determined to make voting more difficult? That is because with voting, you have the power. So I hope that you continue to follow these steps so we can ensure your constitutional right to vote. Next, we'll talk about in-person absentee. So there's a third option for voting that exists even if you do not want to vote in person on election day or via the mail. That is in-person absentee or early voting. The city of Milwaukee has a number of sites where you can fill out and drop off an absentee ballot in person prior to election day. The Milwaukee Election Commission strongly encourages voters to visit an in-person absentee voting location if you have not requested your ballot more than 10 days. That's 10 days before an election. The city of Milwaukee has not yet posted its in-person absentee schedule. We're a little ahead of the curve, but continue to check at www.city.milwaukee.gov/election/voter-info/voting by absentee ballot to find out where these sites will be and their hours for the 2022 elections. In-person absentee is convenient, and it is a safe way to vote that is available to all eligible voters.